Hello, welcome back to the fish locker. We're just going for a little walk on the beach today, and we're going to try and show you collecting a little bit of shellfish. Now any little beach will do, your local beach or when you go on holiday or anything. The best thing to do when you get straight down there is to have a look around on the tide line. Just walk along the tide line, and that will give you some type of idea what there is in that area. I'll show you for a second. We've literally walked over 50 to 100 yards of the shoreline, and I've picked up scallop shells, mussel shells, 2 or 3 different types of clams. These are slipper limpets, your regular limpets, a couple of different types of scallops. You get like your big scallops and your little queenies, and razor clams. Now you get everything else that passes through, that moves around, like your whelks, and I think these are called a strawberry top shell. So your winkles, your periwinkles, your dog whelks, your top shells, they can move around a lot. But things like mussels, they're generally stationary on a rock, like in a crevice, and these all live in the sand. When there's some rough water, when something's eaten them, like a fish or a bird, and the animal dies, the shell will end up on the high tide line. So it's a good idea to just have a little bit of a look, and then you know what you're looking for. We will hopefully show you a few ways that you can find these, and well, if you choose to, you could even eat them, or like I do, I often use them quite often for bait. Slipper limpets, whelks, winkles, razor clams, they're all good baits. We'll see what we can show you. You can see the area here behind me where you've got the likes of all your mussels. Your mussels tend to hook themselves in somewhere because they hold on, I don't know if you can see, to the area around them with like these little stalks. I knew the name of that. I've forgotten it now that I've found it. I'll come back to you with that. But that there you can see, there's an oyster holding onto the side of the rock. Now there are 2 types of oyster in my local area. One of them is an invasive species. I'll check up on that. Some of them you find in the mud and in the sand, and some of them you find hanging onto rocks like that. Here you can see an area with winkles. And what these will do is, as the tide comes in, they graze around. They are nomadic, they do move. And you will find them in clusters. Now, that's about the size that I would take, that size and bigger. So, if you do look around, you can find some good ones. Any smaller ones, the likes of this, too small. But if you look about, you can see them dotted about on the rocks. If you do look around, you can pick out the better ones. This little patch here are slipper limpets, and they look like that when they're together. Can you see them all sat on each other's backs? Like that. You've seen them all tighten up as soon as I get hold of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. See them all sitting on each other's backs there? There, look. And that's the creature that lives underneath. Just got like a sucker pad that sucks onto the rock. Leave those there. There's a cockle. There's a clam. A little tiny top shell. There's loads around. You just have to look. I mean, each one of these is a little tube worm. What I'm looking for is like a little depression like that. It shows that something's in there. Or if you can see an area like this, see this dark sand here, that shows me that something has turned that sand out. So there is probably something in here, either a crab or a clam or something, because it's turned that darker sand out. What I'm looking at here, I don't know if you can see, is that little hole there. And all I'm going to take is just your normal table salt, just going to salt the hole, and if there's something in there, you'll see either spit it out or the hole will suck in. Now all I saw a little splash. Now if it's a clam, it generally won't do anything straight away, but if it's a top shell or if it's a razor clam, what happens sometimes is you'll see it all bubble out. What you sometimes best do, sometimes if it's real close to the surface, you'll get an immediate reaction and it will be straight out. But otherwise, like now, where it's heard us and we've been setting the camera up, it's probably gone really deep into the sand, so you'll have to wait. But eventually what it does is it ejects itself from the sand. As you can see, sometimes when you walk around, you might find one of these. Which is a scallop. Now look. Now these are perfectly good eating, but they're not what I'm after today. So I'll leave this guy where he is. You'll find them there in like a little hollow. They're a filter feeder and they swim around in the water by clapping together like that. There's another scallop. There, look. See it just hiding. Just hides in like a little hollow, keeps its mouth open and filters. And there's a bigger one, look. There is a cockle. Now you do get them up to being that size. That's about a standard size for them. But they live in the sand. Like that hollow there was probably turned out by this guy. Now you see, all I did was I just put a little bit of salt there and I pushed ourselves right out of the sand. Now, matey boy there decided he would go back under. So I'll see if I can salt him back out. But that's what they look like. We're a head and a foot, and the foot sucks into the sand. There we go. A razor clam. Now its friend there. There's a few there. All in the same patch, look. Best thing to do is, he's only a really, really little one. But if you just kind of salt the hole like that, they will bring themselves out of it. Now you want to wait until they get halfway out and then just hold them, because if you try and pull them too soon, they'll try and dart back in and they pull the bottom of that foot off. Here it comes, look. Right, grab hold of it. Don't pull too hard. Just ease him out. There, look, just like that. There was, call it daddy, mummy and baby. Put this guy back in there. You can see that foot, what I was talking about. It shoots into the sand and then bulges out and then pulls. There's a lot of meat on him. And you can see something coming out of here. I salted that and I just had to wait. This might actually not be a razor clam, it might be something else. If you're too quick on them, just dive straight back into the sand. Look, I'll show you, I'll try and grab him and I think he'll make it back into the sand. Yeah, look, see how fast he was then? Because he's got his bed, because he's got his anchor in the sand, as soon as you try and grab hold of him, he'll be straight back down there. You won't stop it. The best you can hope for is that you'll snap him off, and you don't want to do that because you'll kill it. From here, I've just seen like a little jet of water. So I'm just going to try salting it and seeing what we find. Now, it was only a little tiny jet, so it's likely to only be a really little one. But all you're doing is you're walking around. That might be another one there, look. See, like this little hollow here that I'm looking at? Just salted 2 or 3 little areas. I'm just going to sit and leave them. Now, do you see that little jet of water shoot out? Yeah, look. Do you see that jet of water fire out then? Doesn't like the salt being in there, so it tried to purge it. This one right under my feet's doing the same thing. Now it might not actually be a razor clam, it might just be a clam. But we'll see when it comes out. I think that one actually is just a clam. It's not a razor clam. Now these things can be a foot long, and unless you've got a fork or something, you'll never get it out. Salt that one again. I'm not expecting to be able to catch this guy because they're really deep and really fast. We'll give it a go. No, it was deeper than that. I don't know if you can see, I'm already 8 inches down here. It was deeper than that. There's another one actually. Oh, amazingly, in that same hole, there actually is a razor clam. There it is. That was more luck than good judgment. Just so happened to be that in the same hole that I just dug out was one of them. There you go. Turn our attention to these two here now. There's the other one that's salted. Just coming out. Just wiggle them gently like that. Don't want to pull them too hard. Don't want to break his foot. Don't want to break the big bit on the bottom of him. There, look. Just holding on down there with that. There's another one. In this spot here behind me, I know there's a couple more because as I was busy dealing with that, he popped his head out. What I'm looking at here, if you can see, is just a little slit in the seabed. And there's another one. There's another one. There's another one. You see, look, once you poured a little bit in, it sucks down like that. You're looking for like a little slit. Just keep adding a little bit of salt and a little bit of salt, and eventually he should purge himself out of the sand. There's this one here. Just a little wiggle, that brings him right out, look there. There's only another small one though. There's that little one. Now these are too small, we aren't going to keep these. We're looking for the ones that are like that big. There he goes. When it comes out, tight hold, just give him a little bit of a wiggle and hold it. And what you're waiting for is you're waiting for that. He's pulled his foot so it's fat. You're waiting for him to squirt it out again. There he goes. Look. When you find an area, salt a few places at once.
There you go, John.
Oh. And there's got one there. Like I say, all you do is you wait for it to get out so far, clamp it at the bottom and just hold it. Just gently wiggle it, because it'll bulb that foot up at the bottom and hold onto the sand, and then it'll relax it. There you go.
It's a rubber one.
It is, James. Whoa! Now you can salt some areas like these and then walk off 10 yards and then come back, because like I said, they might not all come out straight away, but you can see them thinking about it. Look. There it goes. Like I say, wait for it to get out. Are you going any further? No. Clamp hold of him, hold tight. Just give it a little bit of a wiggle like that. And all it does is it softens the sand up and allows you to pull them out. Now, like I say, these guys are a bit small, so we'll might actually let him go back in the sand.
No, it's too cold.
Watch him go back. See if his friend here is any bigger. See, with that foot on the bottom, you squirt it in the sand, then bulb it up and draw themselves in. He might be a better one. Just walked back up to that place where I just salted a second ago, and 3 of them had spat themselves out. They're all really small, so we'll let these go, the rest of them. See that one there, actually, it doesn't look to me like it is a razor clam, it just looks like it's a clam. When it pokes itself out of there, it won't be a shell like that, it'll just be, well, it'll look like a thumb. But they're impossible to get hold of them, and unless you've got a fork or something, you won't dig it out, because they could be 12 inches to a foot down. Well, I'm going to have to say, curiosity did get the better of me, and those clams that were just sticking up out of the ground, they weren't razor clams, they were just something else, and I couldn't figure out what they were, and I just couldn't get them, and I thought I'll dig one out and see what it actually is. And you won't be able to see because the holes, most of the holes actually falling in on itself, but it was literally that deep, so we're talking 1.5 foot deep, and that was what was at the bottom of it, a great big clam. And you can see that when it stretched out was probably about that long, which was why I couldn't get hold of them. Incredible, eh? There's a hell of a lot of meat on them. I imagine if you got a spade and you dug half a dozen out, you'd get a good meal out of them. Get washed off. So in no time at all, with just a tub of salt, we've managed to get, I kept a couple of scallops to show you. That's a full cockle that come out of the sand. There's a clam. That is a little top shell that was just walking along. And that's how many razor clams. Actually, that one's a little bit small. We'll put that one away. There'll be a dozen razor clams in there. He's a bit small as well. We'll let him go. Perfect for bait or perfect for eating. Now, I am going to put this one back in its hole, and we'll cover him back up. But that was just to kind of show you what it was. We'll put these scallops away down in a rock pool down there. But no time at all, you've got yourself a load of bait or a dinner.